Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing really well. Today I'm going to be taking a look at 5 different overlooked fragrances that I really love. So these are different ones that for one reason or another just didn't really get any hype behind them. Sure, maybe these had a good review here or there, but for the most part, they came, they went, nobody really noticed. Some of these are more for summer, some are more for fall and winter. Got a good kind of mix here. So let's jump into it and start going over these fragrances. And I've got some handy dandy tester strips here so that I can spray these on as we go through them. First one I want to talk about is from Ferrari, the car company. Now, a lot of you out there are going to know that Ferrari actually makes really solid fragrances, especially for the price, because at discounters you can usually find these for under 30 bucks. Now, some of the Ferrari fragrances kind of have come and gone, and people don't even really talk about it or seem to notice it when that happens. So one day they'll be at discounters and the next day, as if they never existed at all, except for on Fragrantica and places like that. So as I said, the quality on these is really nice. The price is very low. And the one that I want to talk about is this one, Pure Lavender. And I reviewed this years ago on the channel. This one never really took off. People didn't seem to take to it too much, but I've always really loved it. I've had kind of a soft spot in my heart for this one. The ones that people talk about the most are Bright Neroli and Radiant Bergamot, at least from this line. But Pure Lavender, I think, is right there with those. Now, obviously, lavender is going to be the main thing that you pick up from this fragrance. And the lavender in this one is very much a sweet, fresh lavender. It's really nice. There's also cardamom in there. There is citrus, there's vanilla, there's cashmere. So you do have that sort of modern, masculine, fresh DNA here, especially with that fuzzy cashmere as it dries down. It's drawn a few comparisons to Gris Clair by Serge Lutens, which is much more expensive than this one. I wouldn't put those side by side or say that they smell the same or anything like that, but there's enough of a similarity that some people will draw that comparison. And honestly, that's not a bad comparison to draw if you're gonna be compared to something as Serge Lutens. Pretty good. This one is very good spring through fall, so you can get a lot of use out of it, a lot of versatility here. More of a daytime scent, and that is because it has that sort of effervescent freshness to it with a little bit of sweetness. It's not too rich, not too heavy, so it is more of a daytime scent. So Pure Lavender for me is a fragrance that is overlooked and I think is a lot better than some people will give it credit for. I think it's a very, very nice, easy to wear, easy to purchase because it's not very expensive, lavender-centric fragrance that most people are going to enjoy. Next up is this one, L'Insoumis from Lalique. I love the presentation here, love the bottle, think it looks super classy. This design on the side, very cool looking. The cap, very nice as well. And the atomizer on this is fantastic. I'll go ahead and spray it so you can see, but see that? Really good. Basically a Dior-esque atomizer, if you want to call it that. It's a pressurized atomizer, super easy to spray out exactly how much you want. This one has basil, woods, rum, clary sage, and lavender as some of the notes in the fragrance. Very versatile, easy to wear. It is a little more mature, a little more sophisticated than Pure Lavender is, but not so much so that people are going to smell this and be like, oh, you smell like your grandpa. It does have a modern edge to it. So even though it does have that very slightly more mature tone to it, it's something that younger guys can pull off as well. You can wear this one easily formally. You can wear this to the office. You can wear this in a whole bunch of different situations. There is a flanker to this called L'Insoumis Ma Force, which came out, I think, a year or two after this one, and it is not as good. This one is much better than the flanker. The flanker is just kind of a throwaway fragrance, pretty forgettable. But this one, really nice. And this one also is a fragrance that will grow on you. This one grew on me a lot over the years. Up next is a fragrance that I think is one of, if not the best, actually probably is the best from the Polo Blue line. It's Gold Blend. This one has ginger, citrus, incense, sage, and melon as some of the notes in the fragrance. So off the top, you're gonna get that ginger citrus combo that I've talked about so many times on this channel. It works very well. The ginger makes the citrus pop. It gives it more life, makes it brighter, makes it just jump off your skin. Super, super appealing. There's a reason that ginger and citrus get used together all the time. It's so hard to screw up. And in here, it smells really nice. So ginger and citrus in the opening here is gonna make it just super appealing. When people smell that opening, they're gonna think, oh, it smells awesome. As it dries down, you do get that melon, which is a note that's used in the original Polo Blue. That one though is really boring to me. The original Polo Blue is just really bland, boring gem sport fragrance. I know a lot of people like it, a lot of people wear it, but when I smell it, I just don't care at all. Here, it smells richer, it has more depth, it has more oomph to it, it's classier, but it still maintains that wearability that the original has. As this dries down, you get incense, you get patchouli, so that's gonna give it that depth that I was talking about, that added depth. And it really, really helps this fragrance shine. So that one, like I said, the best in my opinion from the Polo Blue line. It's got more versatility, more usability. You can potentially pull that off in night as well as day, whereas the original one is pretty much just a daytime sport fragrance. This one you can use in lots of situations. So it's really well-rounded, really versatile. It gives you that sort of blue fragrance DNA in the sense that, like I said, you can use it about anywhere. Really nice. Up next, one from the Valentino Uomo line. It is Aqua. Now, the Uomo line that people talk about the most is Intense, Valentino Uomo Intense, and that one is also really good, but like I said, that one gets talked about a lot. It gets mentioned a lot, people love it. Aqua does not. And really, who knows what's gonna happen with the Valentino Uomo line. I think Valentino is just doing a complete overhaul there. And we saw what happened with Valentino Uomo Born in Roma, taking a very Invictus kind of vibe or style with that fragrance. So yeah, who knows where Valentino's going in the future. This one has the iris that you expect from the Valentino Uomo line. So a little bit of powdery sort of makeup-y iris. It's in here, but it's much fresher, which you would obviously expect because the name of the fragrance is Aqua. One of the cool things about this fragrance is it makes use of tomato, green tomatoes specifically, but that's a note you don't see very often. Tomato in a men's fragrance, pretty rare. It'll pop up now and again, but not much. And actually, it smells great. This one has mandarin orange in the opening with tomato, and I know for a lot of you out there, when you hear tomato, it's not really something that sounds appealing. Most people are not gonna be like, oh, I wanna smell like a tomato, but it smells good. Believe it or not, it does. This one's fresh, it's classy. It has a little bit of that powdery touch, like I said, but not overdone, so it's not a powder bomb or anything like that, and it will definitely set you apart from what other people are wearing in the summertime. Even though there's not an official aquatic note here, it does have a little bit of a watery feel, most likely owing to that tomato in the opening. There's also sage in there and leather, believe it or not, but I don't really get a whole bunch of leather, more so iris as it dries down, but that one is very nice, very classy. The only knock that I really have for that fragrance is the performance. It's not great. Now this next one is long discontinued. This one came out, I believe, in 1994, and it's from Missoni Olympios. And this is not really the last fragrance. There's actually one more, so technically there's 6, but I wanted to include this one. So this one's kind of like a bonus. This one has a ton of notes. It's got violet, it has green notes, it has oak moss in here. This one is gonna give you a similar vibe to Vintage Fahrenheit. Not the exact same as Vintage Fahrenheit, but if you like Dior Fahrenheit, again, more specifically your early 90s Dior Fahrenheit, this will give you a good approximation of that. And sometimes find this on eBay for a really good price. You're not likely to find this at any discounter because again, it's long discontinued, but sometimes you can find this in the $40 range on eBay. At that price, if you like those kind of throwback fragrances and you want a fragrance that does have a Dior Fahrenheit feel to it, check this one out. It's overlooked, it's very good. And the last one I want to talk about here is from Azzaro. It's Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, and that's almost empty. Yes, and I bought this as a tester, no cap. Bane of my existence, tester bottles with no cap. Cinnamon, brandy, amber, tonka, and vetiver, some of the notes in this fragrance. And the quality here is through the roof for the price. It's a very rich fragrance. It's warm, spicy, boozy, touch of sweetness in there, not too much. It's elegant, maybe slightly mature. It's not what I would call a mature fragrance necessarily, but it does lean more mature than it does youthful for sure. This whole line actually nowadays is sort of overlooked. Azzaro Pour Homme, that one doesn't get talked about a whole ton. It's a fantastic barbershop fragrance, and I understand why it doesn't get talked about a whole bunch. It's an older fragrance, it's decades old, but this one being Azzaro Pour Homme Intense gets overlooked a little bit because, again, the bottle is not the flashiest. It's not part of a new line or anything like that. It's a flanker of a fragrance that came out decades ago, so I understand why it's overlooked, but the scent itself is killer. This one, fall and winter time, day or night. For me, maybe it leans a little nighttime, but this one is just awesome, awesome fragrance. Let me know in the comments some fragrances that you love personally that you think are overlooked as well. I know there are a bunch of them out there. There's way more than just these that I think are overlooked, but yeah, I can't go over like 60 fragrances in one video. That would be a crazy video. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.